Jason, I can't get enough of this raw stuff.
Oneness, bro. That says it's in our intro.
I can't get
oneness. What does oneness mean?
What is oneness?
Yes.
Oneness is an awareness, frankly. It's an awareness of the interconnectedness of everything. And we all share everything. We share thoughts. We share molecules. We share breath. We share energy. It's all coming from one single unified source. Come on.
So it's recognizing that the worst parts of that tiger is the best parts of me.
Yeah. And like the worst parts of you are not, I don't want to say the worst parts of you. What you would think are the darkest parts of you, that's just a natural part of everything in creation itself. Question is, how is it that you want to use that as a learning experience?
So this ability to separate is false.
Yeah, the whole idea of separation is this like stupid paradox.
You're in Africa and I'm in Canada.
Ooh, what are you special because you're Canadian?
No, we're one.
We're all one.
The ocean that is separating us, the continents, that's not separation. That's all oneness.
It's all oneness. Does the water touch the land? Do your feet touch that land which touches the water? Yeah, that's one. Right?
And speaking of not being one, when we look at the Old and New Testaments of the Holy Bible, and probably more, and I know we have a lot of people, and I know I've talked to several that are Christian mystics. I'd probably maybe even put myself in that category a little bit, if we want to bucket people. But
love a good bucket.
When we look at the Bible and we see this, in the Old Testament, we can look at Judaism, and that's what they follow, especially the first 5 books, Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, it's the Torah.
Thank you.
And which, and we look at the New Testament, which is Jesus' teachings. That's the Savior of the world, salvation through him, dying on the cross, all that. So we have Christian theology and we have Judaism, all in this 66 books, the Holy Bible. And then we see this common thread, and especially we see this in Judaism, of God's chosen people, which is the Israeli, and then you go through.
How is it?
This,
how are they chosen? Chosen.
Well, this is what I'm getting into, because this will be
great.
Interesting.
I want to ask questions that are just
well, Ra's going to answer this too.
Yeah.
So we get into this ability to be able to separate ourselves and make us something better than everything that's around this. And so when we get to that level of where we're just operating in the ego like that, and then we have this symbol, we've done shows on symbol. We encourage people that they interested in artificial intelligence and symbols, they can subscribe to our TCast.
It's very intellectually stimulating. Maybe good for you.
It would be good for you, yeah. And it's our other podcast that we do on technology. But we're looking at, from this very beginning, these, especially the Bible, you have 1 Kings, 2 Kings, 1 Chronicles, 2 Chronicles, and these are just books showing God's chosen people going to war and conquering land so that they can build a bigger empire for God and then convert everybody over to God. Because these are heathen nations, that's what the Bible refers to them, and they're worshiping other gods, and they have to be conquered to worship the one true God, Jehovah.
To worship that, or that, do you think that these people are taking your land, which is it's your responsibility to have because God gave it to you.
But see, this is, and I want to put it, in America, when we look at our politics and we look at the alt-right, and we see Christianity being so influenced.
What about just nationalism in general?
Yeah.
How many times has nationalism bled into like religious ideology? Is it not its own religion? Is it not?
It is its own religion, yeah.
Isn't the USA its own church?
I mean, if people will die for it, so.
Yeah. I mean,
think about it.
You're on a constant crusade, a political crusade.
To what?
Yeah, to what?
And what is the outcome?
What are you crusading around? What are you yelling for? Doing all this, doing that? What is that achieving?
You've perceived in your limited reality to become number one in the world. Okay.
What does that mean? To become,
and then we're so worried of our competitive advantage with China and India.
Your nationalism is driven by economic focus. Oh, and by the way, you're probably not in the world's top resource holders. So what are you yapping about? Why are you on this political?
But see, the beautiful part about this fucked up system is Now let's throw religion in there. Let's throw that we're the only good religion. We're the only right. Now let's throw that if you don't follow this religion, you're going to hell.
Mm-hmm.
Now let's throw that in there. The things that we're doing is our enemies in the Middle East are because they worship this, they worship Islam, Allah.
And then it's like, what are you doing? Am I there for nukes? Are they really a threat? Is it their religion? They obviously don't have any. Why would I go and invade a country? In all, no joke.
Right.
There are mud huts or clay huts out there all the time. Very limited, rudimentary, archaically built structures. And you are showing up with, $110 million F-23, 24, F-90,000 Raptors, whatever you want to call them, to blow this stuff up for people that are using old Soviet. What is really the point of you being over there? It's like a big boot stepping on an ant in sense of just military power, right? And technology and development of that civilization itself.
Yeah, and I think there's always a lot of questions, even on the troop level. The troops come back and they ask that. Well, what were we there for?
I mean, if you just look at them what? If I had, the unstoppable force meets the immovable object, okay. And if one was truly a threat, then it makes sense to send everything you got.
Right.
But don't go turn the place into a parking lot because, some dude that is on some whacked outside, wants to blow up a public area.
Well, they even, and this has been a big argument, but even a lot of generals have come out and made statements. This is why special forces is so important. We just go in and take out this certain guy, in Al Qaeda. I mean, we've pretty much eradicated Al Qaeda.
Why do you need to send
that's one good thing that if whether you like Donald Trump or not, he gave the military free reign to go after Al Qaeda.
Do you remember Saddam?
I mean, take out. You can take out one guy. We don't need to be raiding villages.
Do you remember the Gulf War?
Yes,
of course you do. What did Saddam do? Started burning the oil in the oil fields.
Yeah,
he knew exactly what we were going over there for.
Yeah, exactly.
There's no other reason to be over there. Okay, even if he's gassing his own people, right? Literally killing his own people. Is that for you to go over and police that? That area is surrounded by how many countries?
Yeah.
But you're telling us we have to move everything across the entire ocean to go take care of this?
Well, even during his war, you had the vice president who was, with Halliburton. And then you have Halliburton. Not only are they in oil and gas, but they also are military contractors. So they were supplying all the meals for all the troops, the hundreds of thousands of troops that were over there. Every day, 3 meals a day. And they're charging $20 per meal, which it only costs them $2. It's all this. It's this military industrial complex.
Outside of any politics, if you just look at it, logically makes no sense. None of it.
But we've bought into this based off of this patriarchal
nationalistic dogma
that is based off of this ability to think that we are greater than, so in Christianity, here's where it gets crazy. So if you're a Christian, which 90% of people in America would say that they're Christian, people that vote, alt-right,
country music.
Yeah, country music type. There's huge.
I'm not saying everybody.
Here in Albuquerque, we have one of the largest mega churches in the United States.
Yeah, and I'm not saying people that listen to country are like this. What I meant to say is, it's like,
what the hell is a fucking mega church, anyways?
No,
why, God, why do you need that big of a fucking building?
I don't remember. Dude, I drive by him and I'm like, why?
What is all that nonsense?
You and I are sitting here
did this the other day. We did the other day. We were driving by one, and I'm like, every church should be a community center.
Yeah, why do you have all that space for worshiping this thing that takes away the power of an individual?
And you're going to use it for an hour, 2 or maybe 3 if you have 3 services on Sundays.
Yeah.
To play music. I get it if it's a concert. Okay. Just name it a concert. Rent that fucker out.
You know what the difference is? If they had to pay property tax, that thing would be a shack.
Oh, yeah. They don't have to pay. Yeah, no, churches don't pay anything.
That's why they're huge.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's so much tax. So,
Hold on, I got to clear up before you get to the next part. When I was talking about people listen to country music, that's not what it is. I listen to country music. I'm just saying, you hear these contexts, this flavor of tone where it's God, family, country.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay? And it's and it's constant blending of nationalism with religion. It's all the time. Over and over.
There has to be. I mean, how did Hitler eradicate the Jews? By putting an ideology in there and saying Germans are greater than. There's these Nordic descendants that are from, this pure race. And we have eugenics, which we gave him. You guys need to read that
nice
shit.
job, Harvard.
Yeah. Look in the 1920s. Type in America 1920s eugenics.
Harvard's eugenics study, Harvard.
And all Hitler did was listen to this and say,
he's like, I can run with that.
We had state fairs, and there's pictures of this. You can pull this up. We had state fairs in the United States that had eugenics booths at them, where people were saying that black people were apes and Jews had.
And they do measurements. They measure the skull of you in comparison to someone else. That whole sort of subset, like, you may think that's atrocious, that's horrible. You're doing it right now by putting people in boxes.
Yes.
Marketing does the same thing. Just because you're not measuring a skull, you're still measuring human beings depending on, how they look and all these other things.
Yes, Facebook, stop measuring skulls.
Yeah, Facebook, you skull measurers.
You eugenics fucks.
Yeah, stop measuring the damn skulls.
No, AI is very, very racist.
No,
We're going to talk about that in when you put an AI in. This is very, very sad. They had this teen suicide hotline, and we'll get into this in TCAS. I'm trying to get people. Have you noticed the flavor of trying to get people to subscribe to TCAS?
Listen to Tartlecast.
Yeah. So. No, this AI began to talk to teenagers and then started kind of adopting this teenage language. And then it started making fun of like people's disabilities and
that's the thing that
LGBTQ.
It starts to look at like banter.
Yeah.
Yes. And it doesn't understand sarcasm,
and
it's like, oh, this is just the input you're giving me. And then it's just relaying like essentially bullying and like demeaning talk back to these people that are already in a very sensitive state, fragile state.
Yes.
Hello. Who wrote that algorithm?
Yeah, and then you've got 24/7 bullying now. It's online. It's outside of the schools. We're so far off of. Yeah. So no, let me get back to Old and New Testament.
Yeah, thank you.
Because Ross talks about this, and then you can read it.
And that's how that dragged into God and country.
No, this is very, very important. I'm going to tee it all up. So if you're God's chosen people, Old Testament Judaism believes that the Israel race is God's chosen people. In New Testament, Christianity believes that now, once we're all one. They say that, but then we become one when you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. And now it's not the Jews anymore, it's the Christians. And the Christians are God's chosen people to go about the whole globe.
Well, how do I know if I'm chosen?
Because you've accepted Jesus as your Lord and Savior. That makes you have a ticket to heaven. You have that ticket to heaven.
Yeah.
Because it's shitty here. And everybody wants those mansions over the hilltop. There's a song on that.
Yeah.
The gold streets.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So we all want that because we're really, really poor.
So I decide for myself if I'm chosen, if I choose to follow this teaching.
Well, okay, now we're getting into theology. You have free will Christians, which are Methodists and some Baptists and stuff like that.
Right.
And then you have community church. I would say 70% of Christianity in America is probably free will based, where you have the choice to accept Jesus or not. Then you have predestination, which is like Calvinism and stuff like that, Luther churches and stuff like that. And they believe that God has already predestined a group of people that will accept him. And everybody else, I guess, is just fucked.
Can we just consider this for a second? If somebody had the right one, why are there so many different variations of it?
Yeah.
If one was truthfully legit, you wouldn't need to have 1,000 variations, right? Because it'd be the truth.
Well, this is why this is my
Am I wrong?
This is my joke with the Bible, and Raw gets into this. If the Bible is God's holy word, and it's 100% truthful, which a lot of people believe, it's 100% truthful. Or it's the Torah, the first 5 books, 100% truthful. If it is 100% truth, then in your limited belief, you should be worshiping that. Like you should be bowing down to that Bible.
Interesting.
Do you see what I'm saying in their belief? Because if every word, the people go into that in the book of Psalms, it talks about like every word is absolutely, it's an allegory for something else. But a lot of people, especially fundamentalists, Christians, they believe every single word in the Bible is absolutely perfect.
How would you know that? Who's the judge of perfect? Is it because someone told you it was perfect? Have you actually tested every word in that? If it's perfect,
well,
right?
It can't be. I mean, you can just
hold
read
on
it.
though. Let's think about this. Say it was perfect.
Ooh, let's go to first principles. Here we go.
Okay, so let's say it was perfect.
Right.
Okay. All right. I'm going to take phase 1 of perfect, whatever chunk of this Bible, and I'm going to go apply it to my life. Now, that's not really working out. Well, it's not perfect then, is it? And if it was perfect, there'd be no sense to even have a whole Bible because everything could be explained in the first couple seconds. I don't have to continue to talk about allegories or all this other stuff to try and elevate this message to help more people understand. It's something that needs to be understandable right out of the gate. And if it is perfect, then it should be perfectly understood. But the thing is, it's not, which tells me that it doesn't have any sort of foundational truth to it.
And this is where I want to tie this in before we get into Raw, because this is very, very important right now.
Okay, I'm feeling
and where I wanted to go, and I want you to talk about this. Anytime a religion, a cult leader, spiritualism, gurus, yogis, whatever you want to call them, pastors.
I don't care what the label is. Yeah.
The minute someone begins to say, "This is right, that is wrong,"
red flag, or big red X. You should be like, what are you talking about? How is it for you to decide what is right or wrong? What is your context of right or wrong? Everything in this world is learning. If an asteroid hits this Earth, was that right or wrong? Do I blame the universe for it? It just happened to hit it. It wasn't right or wrong. It's just a thing. It just is.
Well, it's so silly too.
And then
because
you're just yanking away people's free will.
That's what I was just going into right
that. That's wrong.
If you read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and you see all of Jesus' teaching constantly, they even said for taxes, they were like, I don't want to pay my taxes. Jesus, like, you have all these thousands of followers. Let's just stop paying taxes. And he said, give unto Caesar what Caesar is due. He's like, and then they have another one that they come to him, and the Roman soldiers by law could go to a Jewish person and say, hey, take my backpack here. It's, 40 to 70 pounds, and they have to take it a mile for them. After a mile, they can drop it and be done. But by law, if a Roman soldier, because they were under Roman.
So anybody's your slave for a mile?
Yeah, anybody. Any Jewish person, you could walk up to them and say, hey, take this. And then by law, they have to. So here's what Jesus said. Because they were like, we don't want to do this. Because you imagine how irritating that'd be. Here you are, you're heading to the temple, you're heading to the market, and then a Roman soldier says, hey, you, grab this. Let's go. And then you're irritated. Like, I got to do this by law. I'll get arrested. And then you take it and you're just pissed off the whole time, carrying this for a mile. I want to imagine that. Now think about this. Here's what Jesus says to that answer. Because they ask him about it with the taxes, and then they ask him this question.
Why are you talking about finance?
He goes, take it another mile.
Oh, you keep going. Yeah.
Well, what kind of example would that be?
Yeah.
If a group of people said, no, I'll take it another mile for you.
Yeah. Well, then you know what it does? That power, that false power paradigm that's happening here.
Here we go. Yes.
You essentially dissolve it at that point, right? But I look at these things, and it's these constant ideas of control, total, bad, good, follow this or die, don't look, turn to stone. Why is everything have so much finality to it?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it really so negatively based? Why do they make you feel so small and insignificant and valueless, and you have to beg for value? What is that?
Beg for value. Think about that.
You're begging.
That's a great line.
You're begging to the unknown, to this thing that doesn't exist for value all the time. What are you talking about?
And it's like there's a God and you're never good enough. Like those stairs you have to climb up and bloody your knees to see the statue of Mary or whatever it is in Mexico. Have you heard about that?
Why would I want to do that?
And so thousands of people make, or even you have to make these journeys to these great temples, in India and these other places. It's like, think about this, Alex, and this is so good what you're saying, and this is like just resonating with me hardcore right now. You have all that is in you. All the creational laws are built into you.
Yep.
You can have all the power. As quickly as you can tap into consciousness, you have that ability of abundance and love and light. Yeah. It's so beautiful. And then you look at this other side of this that the world is literally in chains with, and they're seeing this dirty, nasty, old, fucked up God that has this fuckery and wizardry that you have to do these things. And no matter how much you do, you're never good enough. You're always a sinner. You're always bad. There's always this old karma you got to deal with.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Why is he portrayed as a dude?
It's like
I got a question. Why is he
so
portrayed
discouraging? Think about that.
Why is he portrayed as a dude? Why is the fundamental idea that he's always above my head? I can never be above him physically.
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Why is he large and just overwhelming?
Why do I have to go to him?
And why is it just him?
Yeah.
Why can't I go talk to this tree over here?
Mm-hmm.
Why is it this dude has all the final say? By the way, nobody's got a picture of him.
Mm-mm.
Nobody knows what he looks like.
It's like Bigfoot.
Nobody knows how. Yeah, nobody knows how he thinks.
Yeah.
You know, people portray him in the clouds or in some like sort of heavenly atmosphere. You don't know what heaven looks like. You haven't been there. What are you talking about? Because you read a book and like fucking told you about it, and you haven't done any of the thinking for yourself. You're like, oh, that's it. That works for me.
My grandma believed this.
When you read the Bible, does it go back and like test itself? Is the Bible asking you, hey, you should really double check this? You should think for yourself about it? Bible never said that once. Not one time. If there is no fundamental grounding, strength or truth, timelessness to what is being said, people wouldn't want to put something in there that says, go ahead, check it out for yourself. Go do the learning. Go test this.
Yeah, Jesus did that.
You'll test it 1,000 times.
He's always empowering the person and always creating a different paradigm. So why is all the Bible all around it surrounded by this negativity?
Think about the Orion group.
Yes.
Okay. So let's.
Well, no. We're gonna do this next episode, dude. We've already gone.
Oh yeah. Sorry, guys. We'll be right back.